We're now here, what's the date? The 4th of March the 4th. We're touching down in Houston. This has become a regular stopover since 2000. The only time we didn't do it was last year. You know what I'm saying? But we back this year. So what, this is number 5. This is like the number 5 visit in Houston. I always have some interesting stuff happening in Houston. Either some people getting fooled in the audience, we had to go to battle or whatever. But we back in Houston. I'm glad to be back. The brother Tony is a great warrior. And the whole crew, the whole posse here is always good. You can always tell when it's a high spirit when black people suffer the most in the city. And I'm quite sure they lock up a lot of black men here, so there's always some good power that comes out of that when black people suffer. Take, for instance, when I go to Detroit, it's always off the chain. Because, Detroit is the only third world country in America. So whenever I go to Detroit, it's always off the chain. I was in Baltimore, which niggas suffer there hard. Always, real powerful. So I know it's always powerful when black people, when black people are going to a downtrodden state. Now I'm quite sure you got your upward mobile here, but I say this for a reason because I believe that whenever you go to a place, and like I know they locked a lot of black men up here, and it's not by mistake that they've dumped the Katrina victims here too. But whenever you go to a state where they really kicking it hard with black people, is somebody going to answer it or what? This new cell phone age, goddamn. But anyway, I know that it's something that we found out that basically whenever you have some stuff where there's some hardship going on, it means that there's a certain caliber of black person that they got to hold down. The government has done studies for years, and they can basically track the kind of talent that is going on with certain black people. So pretty much, and we know that all black people are talented, or all black people have a certain gifts, because we spiritual people, but you best believe whenever they're real hard on black people, that means that the government had studied a certain migration of black people and they know some certain spiritual aptitudes that can happen, a spiritual awareness that is in a certain people, and that's whenever they hold them down, it's that way. Like my state of South Carolina, where I'm from. I was born in Los Angeles, but I was basically raised in South Carolina. And it's interesting because the black people there got a lot of real spiritual people, and they got to hold them down because of the simple fact that they got more black people in South Carolina than in any other state. They had, as far as the entire state-wise. I live in Atlanta now, and outside of Atlanta, it's just white. You see what I'm saying? So they herded them all into Atlanta, whereas the whole state of South Carolina, they got whole counties that the blacks outnumber the whites. So as a result, they have to keep those people down. And it's interesting how the blacks outnumber the whites, but yet whites still win the elections. You see what I'm saying? Overwhelming black population. So they study us. When they used to say, Elijah Muhammad and all used to say, when we sleeping, they study us. That's exactly what they do. And we got to remember, as things go on globally, you still have to remember that whatever goes on globally, the number one focus when it comes to the powers that be is us. Now the good thing that's happened the last couple of years, black people have act and behave like they have lost their minds so much. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care where you go, black people are out of their damn minds. And but the Spirit said that that's the decoy. remember, if we act like we had some sense, they would be nervous. And they would kill us off even more than they're doing. So, in some kind of way, the spirit acts as a decoy. And I remember back in, I think this was in 1994, 1995, one of the brothers named Bill Lilly in Brooklyn, New York, he said one day, that I know he's talking in the spirit, because there's a movie that came out, Nostradamus. It's a movie on Nostradamus that came out by Orion Pictures in 1994. And, you know, he was trained by Moore, which is also in a lot of his writings. If you get complete works of Nostradamus, there's several quatrains where he talks about the Moor. So apparently he was trained by Moore or something like that. A Moorish sect that ruled in Europe for 700 years. And still was a little bit around, even though they ousted them in 1492. That's, you know, it was still around. But he was trained by Moore, and yeah, okay, he's a little, yeah, gotta mash him in good. And the Moore gave him a concoction to make his powers, or his prophetic powers, enhanced. And he gave him something that was nutmeg, and they only mentioned nutmeg on the actual movie, but it was nutmeg, cinnamon, and honey, and a little bit of lemon, and boiled into an elixir, a concoction, and that unleashed his power. So the brother Bill Lilly was up in New York, and he was taking this nutmeg, and he was talking to the spirits and laughing and going crazy and stuff, and he said something where, as the spirits told him that the Uncle Toms of the black race was actually a positive thing in the particular aspect. They act as the buffer zone when it came to white folks. Let's say that white folks were so paranoid until, if they didn't have this buffer zone, or they didn't have this Uncle Tom assuring them that everything is all right, then what would happen here is that they would literally massacre us all. Now we know that they have, you know that this is true. Whenever they have an enemy, basically they spend billions on defense and don't even have nobody to go to war with. So even this particular paranoia, if they have a true enemy, in which they know as us in the Masonic world, the white Masonic world, if they have a true enemy, then you would know that they wouldn't rest when it came to taking us out and murdering us. So as a result, because they're very paranoid people, but the Uncle Toms at the particular time were people that was a buffer zone. This is a spiritual thing. So in so many words, when you look at a bigger picture, and which is basically, the last couple of years, I've gone into this particular thing to look at a bigger picture. And in the bigger picture, when you look at it, it means that the spirit world was also lining things up. Although it might seem drab, it might seem dismal, and you say, what the hell is going on? But there's a bigger picture as far as the spirit lineup, or even our spirits lining certain things up. You see what I'm saying? So the Uncle Tom was a buffer that would put the white man at ease. Well, it's the same thing that's happening now, because I know everybody's saying the same thing. You look at black people each day and you go, my God. These niggas are crazy. And it's not just, we're not talking about nobody on the street shooting up anybody. We're just talking about your average cousin, your average mother, father. Everybody is crazy everywhere. And it's not just black people, it's the America itself is deranged. Because remember now, we didn't come over here acting this way, so we had to have a blueprint somewhere. So whatever that redneck cracker's pathology was, we inherited that from him. You see what I'm saying? But the point I'm trying to make here is, we got the short end of the stick as far as our behavior, but then again, on the other hand, our behavior now is a buffer zone. Because the white man said, wait a minute, now hold on, now we've been, because then the guys, the America's Secret Establishment, Carol Quigley, and I think it was his book that said that the only thing that can stop the powers that be is the urban black person. So that means that they must have to wonder, when is this thing going to be? And apparently, the more and more we get into the millennium, the more sick we get. And then it all came to me, hey, that's a part of the spiritual buffer zone. Because now they're looking and saying their mind is at ease. They're on other parts of the planet. Because they say, look, as far as the African American, we can't find nobody. You understand what I'm saying? That's an example as far as the public speakers or the so-called upward mobile. That's an example of anybody that can even come close to toppling or to defeating or to topple the government. So their mind is at ease now. They are basically, I can get on a plane and go where I want to go and do what I got to do because the race does not give up any clues that we have anything about us. You see what I'm saying? They can defeat the powers that be. You understand what I'm saying? And that's spiritual. We are zombies because, and I say this because when you look into voodoo mythology of the thing, they always talk about the zombies, but when you're talking about the zombies, they're not necessarily talking about a person who had his soul trapped in some type of bottle or had something happen with some magical thing. The zombies that they're talking about a lot of times, it's a spiritual thing, is talking about just basically black people. Just zombies. In the particular aspect that we're just functioning on automation. As we talk about automatons. The living dead. And it's interesting because they done had Dawn of the Dead, came out in 2004, Shaun of the Dead, House of the Dead, City of the Dead, all these zombie movies. And City of the Dead, they just basically showed the black man leading all the other zombies. But when you look at this thing, they talk about people as the living dead or the walking dead, but you got to understand, just about everything that can make you upset or make you depressed, on a bigger picture, it's all lining up the way the spirit world has it to line up. Let me give you an example. Now, we know that Dave Chappelle came on Oprah and talked about how they wanted him to wear the dress. I'm going to get ready to spit the libation in a few minutes. Yeah. Let's just give you an example. Want him to wear the dress. But he said something on Oprah, if you get the tape or whatever, anybody recorded, he said, I heard of conspiracies about them having them to wear the dress. Let me tell you where this comes from, why he said this. I did a lecture in the summer of 2003 in Brooklyn, New York at a place called Brown Chocolate Cafe. The brother that had me to do the lecture, it was a brother named Shabazz, who's a 5%er. Who, if you notice, most of the rappers were 5%ers. The Nation of Islam, but you know the 5% of Clarence 13X and that whole thing. Most of the rappers came out of the 5% nation. So by him being a brother from the 5%ers, there's been one since I think 1977, he grew up with most of the rappers. So what happened was we did this lecture, and I was talking about the people, how they have to put on the dress. Ving Rhames had to put on the dress. Wesley Snipes had to put on the dress. Chris Tucker had to put on a bunny outfit on the dress. And Fifth Element.
Barry Bonds just put on.
Barry Bonds just put on the dress. Will Smith put on the dress. And what's the other football player that got married to Mike Ditka? Ricky Williams. So they have to put on the dress. So I had all this in the lecture. So what happened when I did this lecture, and so what happened was the guy, Shabazz is friends with Wu-Tang, Nas, and all them, so he gave the tapes to all the rappers. And Dave Chappelle, you know, that's his music. You know, he's in with the rap world. So as a result, Dave Chappelle got the tape. And so when he went on Oprah, he was saying, well, I've heard that, I didn't know, because I was watching this, but the guy Shabazz called me 2 days later said, you know the tape, we gave that to them, and that's the tape that was talking about what you was talking about, the dress. You see what I'm saying? And so they have to wear this particular dress. Well, let me show you something on how things get past them. So when this thing was coming out with this movie, Medea's Family Reunion, I said, oh shit, here come the dress again. But the Spirit said, no, you need to go see that, or you need to get a bootleg or whatever. So I got this thing, and I said, okay, this is how the Spirit works. Now, obviously, he probably got the funding, you see what I'm saying, for that because of the dress. What I mean, because the brother Ving Rhames just made a movie on Animal talking about the Willie Lynch syndrome. And as a result, the Willie Lynch syndrome, so as a result of the Willie Lynch syndrome, what happened was they didn't back him, so it had to go straight to video. So nothing comes on the silver screen now unless that white boy backs it. Because there's too much money based on distribution. So for the mere fact that they would allow something to happen, with the first movie, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, and this one, the politics was, well, he's wearing a dress, so he's already come to us with that. But remember, the brother wrote the script. And this is how the spirit world worked. Because when I saw the movie, I said, wait a minute, the spirit was all up in this shit right here. Because what resonated was, I came from a town where damn near every black woman, black mama and grandmama act like Medea. You see what I'm saying? So I said, okay, how the spirit works in certain things. And I said, damn, this is resonating, you know. And I said, because we knew people like that. So in so many words, the spirit intercedes on a certain amount of things. And as a result, it was a pretty decent movie when you look at what went down. But in the politics of Hollywood, you see, it's always something, you always got to give them something, you see. But here it is with the whole Dave Chappelle thing that went down. Now, on the other hand, they got this movie called Something New. Now, Something New is about this black woman going with this white boy and all these other cast of people and all this kind of thing here, buffooning and this whole thing. But the key here with that is, there's a mystery behind that. The mystery was, in 2000, they had a national registrar, 1999 of these, the amount of black women that were signing up to go with these this Jew boy put out this register that said these black women can sign up and they can meet these white folks. And as a result, they only wanted a few people to sign up, and 40-something thousand black women signed up. You see what I'm saying? And since then, and they had to shut the registrar down, but since then, there's been several clubs, internet sites, and dating things where black women can go out and meet these white men. Well, I can't too much blame them, because goddamn, we abandoned their sisters years ago with the white woman.
Sure.
But there's a reason why this is happening, and there's a reason why they put out the movie to co-sign, saying it is all right. You see, it's still taboo until the mainstream America accepts it.
Sure.
So they put out this black movie with all black cast, and they got the white boy up in there, and that's to co-sign it to say it is all right now for you to go with the white boy. And there's a reason why white people allow this to happen at this particular time. Now remember, one time in Hollywood, in the 70s, if you went with a white person, your movie career ended almost. Right. Let me give you an example. Richard Roundtree did Shaft, 71, Shaft, Shaft Big Score 72, Shaft in Africa 73. And his career was supposed to go to another level. But it didn't. But he struggled through the 70s, whereas there were other people that had a bigger run than he did. And that is because he was going with the white, started fucking with these white women. So we know it used to be taboo, and what used to be taboo is now accepted. But you got to understand the bigger picture why this is going on. And it has something to do with the occult societies and where they're trying to gear certain things. You remember on a couple of years ago, I think in the late 90s, I talked about a tape. And on this particular tape, I talked about how a guy down in Atlanta had married this girl whose ex-husband was this white Illuminati member. And as a result, she had 2 kids with this guy, and then the guy divorced her and put her in a mental institution, but she was had a PhD in psychology. And as a result, she was able to get out of the mental institution based on the way her mind was. They just couldn't keep her. So the husband said, that's all right, but you can't never get the kids, or otherwise you die. I'm going to let you go. So in so many words, what this is talking about is this, which is the key and the crux of what we're going to get into tonight, as well as other things, is that they know that this time cycle and all of this stuff is over. And as a result, they want to somehow take a lineage of them based on DNA and based on amalgamation and miscegenation with you into what is the afterlife or what is into the new world. It's all in the movie, Interview with the Vampire. When Lestat goes over to France, and they got the old vampires that's dying out, and they was telling him, look, you are the next phase to take us to the next eon, and we want to get with you because you're going to help us, the old clan, go into the next eon. And he burnt down the whole thing, you know, the whole theater. So it's something like that as far as a bridge. And as a result, now they are basically taking this movie to co-sign on saying it's all right for you to go with the white boy for one reason. Because the simple fact is, they want to get these sisters, you see. And for some reason we talk about the mitochondria DNA, which is the feminine side.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's the one they're going for. The return of the goddess. So they want to get these sisters, you see what I'm saying, for somehow so that they can, this Illuminati can implant their seed so that somehow they can say, well, if push comes to shove, if something happens that we're not around, then we can have a lineage of us going into the future. So this is the reason why they would get Henry Louis Gates and put him on TV all of Black History Month on the public television, PBS, and have this whole tracing this whole lineage back to Africa thing. Don't let them fool you on this. The white boy is not a bit more interested in you tracing your ship back to Africa. and like it's going to really do anything, and to let you know that they're obviously into it for some molecular structure, DNA structure. When Chris Tucker, and I know this was in your mind, but I'm the kind of nigga to say this shit. When Chris Tucker traced this shit back to Africa, and when he finally ended up and there's a bunch of niggas jumping around in the goddamn dirt, I know the fucking people say, is that all there is? You see what I'm saying? Little nasty little niggas jumping around in the dirt. I know this is putting in your head like, goddamn, now shit. There's got to be something better than this. I'll explain to you on what the real deal, like I said before, it ain't had nothing to do with that. This white boy and this human genome is trying to make a link and they're trying to dig back into our past to link up with whatever the energy is that's supposed to be the energy for the new eon and the hereafter, whatever you want to call it. And so therefore they got these black people, you see what I'm saying, to trace their things back, Harvard University and Henry Louis Gates, but it's the same nigga that went over to Africa and said that the white man could have never had slavery if the black people didn't help him. You know, some crazy stuff, and and then went to Egypt and talking about the black pharaohs, asked him to say that there was anything other than pharaohs being black. You know, went down to Nubia, but didn't say that the Egyptians were black. So, you know, he got a whole lot of shit going on, but then again, on the other hand, they don't let no nigga on fucking PBS. That's Jew Central. You ever hear the Annenberg Foundation?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? These are, it's always the same people that back all of them. You get the jazz thing, Ken Burns Jazz, it be the same people that put up the funding, the same people that put up the funding for all that shit. Rockefeller and all this. They don't let nobody on there that's going to really come down for your cause. And the only reason why they're doing it is that they're trying to get you to give up your DNA. So now you're trying to trace yourself back to find out what it is. And the white man is not interested in that. Now, you know, they got a whole movie. They did that one, but they did a whole movie on the black people in the Caribbean. There's a whole movie that they did where they took all the black people from Europe that's in London, because they got a whole big Caribbean set. Jamaican and all these Caribbeans in London, Paris, you see, what have you, over in Europe. And they had about 11 or 12 of the people from the British and the European link based on the islands, the Caribbean, and they traced their history back to Africa. They made a whole motion picture about that last year. And then they came with Henry Louis Gates and did one with us. You understand what I'm saying? The key here is we're going ahead of ourselves, but they're trying to make a link. So here goes again. Your DNA is the key to all this shit. You see what I'm saying? So it's the key to all of this. And don't let nobody fool you. Now they spent close to 20 years working on the Human Genome Project. And the only stuff that they're funding all of the money, now you said, just look at this, they spent 20 years, the white folks, working on the Human Genome Project, and now all the funding, Howard University just got millions of dollars to study 15,000 African Americans. Morehouse College School of Medicine, studying thousands of African Americans' DNA. University of Alabama. So they got all these particular institutions popping up to study the DNA of us. And you said, wait a minute, now they done spent 20 years working on this human genome. They're talking about it all the 90s. And then now all the research, after they got it all mapped out, they are studying just the African Americans. It don't make no sense. You see, so here it is again. It's talking about a cosmic link. There's a link that's going on. We're going to get into all this stuff. There's a link that's going on. And first of all, they're not going to find shit. You understand what I'm saying? The spirit world would never give up that type of stuff for ulterior motives or for whatever. And it's interesting because when I started lecturing in 1992, because I started doing the LA riots open for Steve Coakley in 1992, and I did my first lecture in June of 1992. In August, I went to see a white boy talking on Egypt, and he said something that rang true. That true knowledge and true wisdom will never open itself up with people with ulterior motives. So it means that you can have these occult societies and they know all the information, but they can't get that link. Yeah. Remember the movie Dark City? When they was looking and putting people, so they was looking for the soul and stuff like that, but they had the other guy and it was all based on the DNA and the stuff that he did with alchemy. You see what I'm saying? So they're looking for something, they're looking for the unbreakable. That's the key. Go back and watch that movie. Just understand that Bruce Willis was playing Samuel L. Jackson part and Samuel L. Jackson was playing Bruce Willis part. Understand what I'm saying? Now what did Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, that one with his rendition of the European, he said weak bone and frail face. You see what I'm saying? And then they do this movement, it was all about Samuel L. Jackson's weak bone, but they said if there's a weak bone person, there's got to be the antithesis of that, the dialectical opposite, which is us, unbreakable. Now this is the key right here, because this year, I didn't have no mucus, no cold, no nothing. You see what I'm saying? And shit, this year I was chasing ice cream and birthday cake. Nothing. Now, and see, it's all about the power of the mind, because I woke up one morning and I thought I was coming down with some shit. Because some old white man sneezed on me. See, I ride the plane. See what happens is, I ride the planes and they got that recycled air. And so you breathe in, if it's an hour and 45 minutes, for most of the United States on the East Coast, it's an hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours coming to the West, Midwest, and then 3 hours in the West. And I think I went to DC or went someplace. I flew someplace up north, Virginia or somewhere. And I was coming down with something after I got off the plane that morning. Because you're breathing all the white folks. White folks always sick. And I don't know, but there's something about them in pork. It enhances them. Pork is good for them. And Honorable Elijah Muhammad used to talk about that. How pork was a medicine for them. Yeah. Yeah. And they always eating pork, or BLT or some kind of shit. So now, got off the plane. And I said, damn, I'm breathing that recycled air. And usually I go in and I might say, I got some echinacea or some vitamin C or whatever. I didn't have shit in the house. I was out of echinacea because it was like in October or September. You know how you buy all the stuff, as it get cold. So I was out of shit. I went into the kitchen. And in the kitchen was a can of peach soda, artificially flavored. Now I said, I need some vitamin C. I said, so I'm going to drink this peach soda with vitamin C in it, and it's going to cure what the fuck is going on. I drank that artificially flavored, it says, nutrition, vitamin 0. I drank that artificial flavored peach and in 15 minutes, whatever was in me was knocked out. Now, what was it? Was it the soul or no? It's the power of the mind. They give you the placebos and say, ain't nothing wrong with you, and you get better. You see what I'm saying? It was the power of the mind. Now, I knew what I was doing when I did it. I just said, no, but I need the ritual. I need this goddamn peach soda. Artificially flavored. I drank that shit, and whatever it is, it knocked it out. Because it's all based on the power of the mind. Now, I got a cabinet full of all these herbs, and guess what? Haven't taken none all winter. You see what I'm saying? And you know, none the entire season. Why? Because we're going to another level, number one, and your body is mutating or transmutating to another species. That's why they want to study your DNA. That's why they want to study your DNA. It's very key. Now, one thing is key. That is key is the pineapple juice. That's key. That's one thing that you need. And I'll go into the science on that and some other things. But the point I'm trying to make here is they are studying our DNA and stuff. I'm telling you, we are becoming the unbreakable. We are the superhuman and the Superman. It's not by mistake that they're releasing another white Superman this summer. You see what I'm saying? We are the Superman. Y'all all right? Yeah. We're going to get into this type of stuff here. We're going to pour libations and all. And we're going to pour libations and spit the rum. We're going to give the shout out to the goddess Izuli. The goddess Izuli. I got two people here. One sister named Hemmitt. That's the sister in the black back there. She migrated here last year. Was it last year, 2005?
Yeah, the summertime.
It was 2005, 2004?
2005.
2005.
Amen.
Okay, then we have a Katrina victim. I wouldn't really call her Katrina victim. I guess she left because wasn't nothing left. But she didn't get hit. But we got another sister that's in front here, is Sister Enrica. And so she just migrated here by way of whatever transportation they gave them, that refuge they gave them niggas out of New Orleans. And stuff. So, and she's all hooked up with the voodoo thing. And I think that Erzuli is your head, right? So it's Izuli, Erzuli. There's many names. So we got some visitors here. That's new residents here, and that's not by mistake. Now, because we're going to go into that science on what really happened also, on some other things, some spiritual aspects of that whole Katrina thing. But we want to deal with this with this Erzuli when we pour the libation, because that particular energy you want to tap into, especially now, because we're going to go into this because we're talking about a new Erzuli. A new Erzuli. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you, I'm going to say this and all. I wish I had gotten by a Xerox place so I could stuff. This is a picture. This is another symbol of the new Izuli. And I'll get into this. I'm going ahead of myself. I should put this up too. Put this right back here. Y'all all right? When we go into this particular science. Y'all doing all right?
Tape.
Okay, yeah, give me some tape. Yeah, there you go. And when we go into this science, and this is one that this goddess came and had me to draw in June. And I'll go into the science on what went down and how these particular energies is working for us. At this particular time, the only link in between us and the magical field is our own minds. But now we also have some other things you can do as some shortcuts that happen with new entities showing up, or old entities transform new showing up, and we'll go into this, and certain things you can do to help you along the way. Because believe me, whenever they start studying your DNA, it is because you are the link. And so, and we're talking about some of this stuff showing up. We're talking about things that's going to happen miraculously just in the next spring equinox the spring equinox and the summer solstice, all this type of stuff. Also, for the first, let's say from the first 8 years of me doing this particular information, first 8 or 9 years, it was based on hard-nosed research and scholarship. Then it went into more of, it was always under an initiation, but more of this is more of a spiritual quest. And so basically, every single thing now that comes to me or I come in contact with has some spiritual significance. As has some spiritual significance. And give you an example. Then we got gods and goddesses from around the world. And as a result, those gods and goddesses say that you have these other cultures that have been worshiping them. India, Asia, Vietnam, all over, Hawaii. And they have been worshiping them, but they said their main thing is they want to commune and set up residency with the African Americans. So as a result, these particular gods and goddesses that was around the planet have started coming in to the West, their energies, to be with us. You see what I'm saying? So each one of these pictures, we're going to be going through these pictures today. Each one of these pictures has spiritual significance. And around the country, people, these pictures, I got them all for sale for $5. But people been getting these pictures, and as a result, people have been having all types of experiences, because these pictures are actually talismans. When we're going to go through and show you some of these entities from around the world. Now, one of the keys here is, one sister said, when I was in Cleveland, she said, why should I buy a Xerox picture? I said, well, number one, you're thinking of it as a Xerox picture, and I said, but look, this picture that I show you this right here. I show you this right here. We got to pull libations, but I just want to explain something to you. This picture here, one of the first goddesses to come was the goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity, and a lot of people have been having a whole lot of prosperity behind her arrival. But she was one of the first goddesses to come. I want to get an overlay of her. I just wanted to show you this, explain this one thing. See if I can find a front view of her. Y'all bear with me. I'm going ahead of myself, but you got to jump in where the Spirit wants you to go. And so, at first I had only the drawing picture of the engraving, which is the goddess in the middle between the three pictures. I only had that engraving. And I had to throw that up from a small book, rare book from the 70s. And I used that one until I was able to go to New York and buy a book that cost me maybe $200. But the stuff that was in the book was very advanced and very spiritual and very rare. So I said, so you're not getting a picture, you're getting stuff that I had to go and retrieve that they had in museums in France and all over the world, hide down stuff. And there might be one rare book in New York, because New York is an international place where these white folks got this money, and they might go and hawk some of these books, or get rid of some of this stuff. And I have to go in, and the book might cost $200. But as a result, the picture that we now have in the Western Hemisphere is pictures that we're seeing for the first time. And as a result, this is the goddess Lakshmi. And this is coming from the museum in the Louvre in Paris. No, it's called a museum de Gamay. It's a small museum, the Gamay, which is behind the Louvre in Paris. They hide these particular pictures. So the point about it is this here, so you're going to take $5 to get a damn picture, that the only way you can get this particular picture is to go to France. You see what I'm saying? Or somewhere go and try to find another obscure book that's going to cost you $200. You see, so the Spirit had me get certain amount of things that's so valuable until just the $5, you lucking out on this shit. But the simple fact, this is the goddess of prosperity, and to build an altar in your house with this shit right here means you're going to have some prosperity. Providing your heart is right. That's the other damn thing. You see, providing your heart is right. But the key here is the shit works. You see. So, she came to the West, and as a result, she made ways for me to go get this particular material, and as a result, that's why it happened. So, some sister in Indiana said, well, you know, one of the sisters from Indiana called me and was talking about, well, there's some other brothers and sisters saying, well, you know, what you doing with all that, you're Asian and Indian and all that kind of stuff. I said, wait, hold on, Indian. All this shit is all over the planet is ours. Elijah Muhammad told you that. And all these books that Ivan Van Sertim and them edited, Africans in Asia, Africans in America, Africans in Europe. You see what I'm saying? And I said, you know, well, why you ain't doing nothing on Kemet? Because goddamn it, I did shit on Kemet for fucking 13 years. We are more than just Egypt. Now, I'm not taking nothing from Kemet. But the point I'm trying to make here is that we got to get out of this continental type of mentality. Of this sectarian mentality. I told them next I'm going to fucking some China shit. Some Japanese shit. I said, 'cause that's all our shit. You see? So this is the type of stuff. So these rare pictures that we're going to be going through tonight as we explain some stuff is very spiritual. So don't slide and don't get a lot of this particular stuff. I'm not doing this stuff just to make no damn money. I'm just saying we make this stuff available, but believe me, some of the stuff I had to go and get this stuff. You see what I'm saying? Like this is a picture of the Black Buddha. A picture of the original Buddha before he became some Asian thing. This brother looks like Chris Rock. The original Black Buddha. See what I'm saying? But I had to go pay $200 to get the book, to get this, retrieve this particular picture. You see what I'm saying? So this is the type of stuff, but the key here is I'm not even doing it because of just to sell you beautiful pictures. No, these spirits actually came. There's a goddess Kuan Yin, which her story, she's a female Buddha of compassion, but her story is equivalent to Jesus Christ. Do you understand that this particular Christ story that they talk about is just a story in the sense that there wasn't no man running around no Middle East, because Kuan Yin has the same story of dying and resurrecting, as well as Ishtar and Anana and all of those types of things. So we even got females that we don't even talk about that had the same story. We know of Horus and all of that, but they got females that got the identical story. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we deal with. So let's pour the libations right quick. Y'all all right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I better libate myself. Get some energy in here. Okay. Now. Okay. Anyway, let's do the Ashe, which means power, and let's get this going. Y'all know the drill. Locksmith. Ashe. Vishnu. Ashe. Hippocrates. Ashe. Buddha. Ashe. Azuli. Ashe. Agwai. Ashe. Olakun. Ashe. Yeminya. Ashe. Shiva. Ashe. Now give me some strong Ashes now. Sarasvati. Ashe. Osa. Ashe. Auset. Ashe. Hanuman. Ashe. Ganesha. Ashe. Shiva. Ashe. Parvati. Ashe. Sati. Ashe. Kalima. Ashe. Maya. Ashe. Oticha. Ashe. Tiacha. Ashe. Cheola. Ashe. Shula. Ashe. Omagumu. Ashe. Lavado. Ashe. Luigi. Ashe. Odawado. Ashe. Alcala. Ashe. Pan. Ashe. Panheru. Ashe. Heruba. Ashe. Raheru Kahudi. Ashe. Nu. Ashe. Abbott. Ashe. Tyre. Ashe. Sudneset. Ashe. Setesh. Ashe. Green Man. Ashe. Best. Ashe. Maryland. Ashe. Labu. Ashe. Labu. Ashe. Uncle of the Kansu. Ashe. Heru Raha. Ashe. Hasefi. Ashe. Dambalawedo. Ashe. Edawedo. Ashe. Mama. Ashe. Lamat. Ashe. Mil. Ashe. Milbis. Ashe. Mintu. Ashe. Osar. Ashe. Auset. Ashe. Heru. Ashe. Ashe. Sebek. Ashe. Sabu. Ashe. Saku. Ashe. Segment. Ashe. Maya. Ashe. Metatron. Ashe. Melektas. Ashe. Ewa. Obas, I say Obas, I say Ibas, I say Lamb, I say Lamu, I say Camu, I say Canopus, I say Bashashetu, I say Kuan Yin, I say Tai Hik, I say let's see, going on. Say Siva, I say Kundalini, I say Sabdu, I say Sahu, I say Harsep, I say Selket, I say Best, I say Butcher, I say Dadu, I say Sultan, I say Mithra, I say Abraxas, I say let's see, the All God, I say Durga, I say let's see, Terra, I say Tiamat, I say Kengu, I say Labu, I say La'abu, I say Lilith, I say Layla, I say Samuel, I say Labu, I say Abu, I say Hamakis, I say Reskagul, I say Echidna, I say Jason, I say Precious, I say Medea, I say Mimnan, I say let's see okay, Santisa Marte, Kumbanda, Zarabanda, I say Santisa Petra Eamon, I say Las Spiritus and Tranquillus, San Simon, I say Santissima Petra Eamon, I say El Cristo Negro, El Cristo Rey, I say let's see, Mama Shola, I say Madre de la Luna, I say Madre de Agua, I say I think that'll do good for right now. All right, Shri, Ashe. Ashe, we're going to give a shout out to Brother Marvin Gaye. Because the billboard that's up there that you've been seeing around town is not just by mistake. See, everything in the spirit realm lines itself up for a certain reason. I was up in Baltimore, and I was talking about the billboard, and somebody was saying, you know, it didn't have to be a Hennessy commercial. I'm like, well, goddamn now. Hell, you do good if Poking Beans put his ass up there. For the mere fact they just got a nigga on a billboard of a love brother like that, and you ride down the street and see this brother up there looking like a god, looking sacred, I don't give a damn who put the shit up there. Right. If it's Glover's Mange or whatever. So if I eat, you know what I'm saying? They put it up there. The point about it is a spiritual phenomenon, because the simple fact here is, it happened, and we're talking about one of our highest muses, one of the ones that they killed. Now it's interesting here, because this whole father killed him and all. It's always two things that happen twice in history. When we contacted him, and you know you can do that, that's no problem. It's just a matter if you have been taught that you can do that. Most of us believe that we can't do anything based on what the society say you can't do. You know what I'm saying? And most people, isn't it interesting when your parents die, somebody die, you get a sense that they are around? Because they're inside of you, they're inside of your whole DNA. That's the link. There's a river that runs inside of your blood system called the Black River Styx. And in there is everything, your ancestors and everything, but it's inside of you. The inner melanin. So it's a part of you. You know, but you've been taught that this stuff is not real. Because you've become adults. And that's what we're going to get into today. You've got to become a child again. That's the key. Once you become an adult, you anchor yourself to this physical matrix and you lose all touch with reality. But when you were a child, all these things were possible. You understand what I'm saying? Now, when we contacted him in 2003, he said something, and when he said this one thing, I knew that was on to something. He said, no, there was another person in the room when this whole thing so-called had went down with his father. There was another person in the room. And I said, damn, that's the same thing that Betty Shabazz said. Right. When they so-called set her grandson up so to burn up the room, she was hollering saying there was somebody else in the room. So this is nothing to take a family member and do some things and blame it on them. Hell, they might be to the point where nobody will believe them. Right. And there's another person, he said was another person in the room. And they killed me because I was getting ready to take this thing to another level. Now, So I said, well, shit, man, what you want me to do? He said, well, you know, take the poster and make it into something as a spiritual talisman. So I got it up here. But what happened was, they had to put out a caption about a paragraph on one of the LPs or something a year after he died. So because it was his death, the movie industry had to take a caption of stuff and like one paragraph give this man whole career and then give some philosophical things about what he was about before the year after he died. So as a result, the day I went to go put the piece together, well, I had to go find one of the damn books to get it out of, you know, and one of the black books, you know, Vibe, or one of the ones that have it. I think it was that one of them one that got all the naked girls on it now, and stuff like that, you know. And now remember, those white companies has got them books now.
Right, that's right.
But gotta look at it this way too. Why are they worshiping the black woman now? See what I'm saying? Now this sister here said she went across the street and the Indian guy, well, that told her, and he said, I want to worship you. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Yeah. They sense something going on. You see, that's why the white boys running now. You see, now everybody know that the black woman precious, but the damn black man. See what I'm saying? You know, but the damn black man and shit, you know. You know, I'm like, shoot. But, and you know, they want to be the down low thing. And the down low thing ain't about getting screwed in the behind. I'm not talking about that. So there's a down low culture. It ain't about sex. Some of these people will never be caught with a man. They just hate women. Look at, go get the movie Hitch. Remember the movie Hitch? Yeah. And there was a part where there was a guy say he got this feeling for this woman. He don't know what's going on, but he don't like to feel this way. He said, but he said, maybe I'll just have sex with her and be done with it. And what's the name said, no, I'm not hooking up you to have sex. I'm hooking this up so you can make a love connection and probably get married. He said, you don't even like women. So you got guys, they like to get a nut, but they don't like women. See what I'm saying? And that's a part of a down low culture. It's another form of homosexuality without them being sexually active with men. You understand what I'm saying? It's just they hate women. You see what I'm saying? As soon as they bust that nut, you know. See what I'm saying? Nigga just change up on your ass like God said. You see what I'm saying? You know, just change up on you. And I got guys, you know, they get along so good with brothers. They can fight, they boys, they pals, they get along so good. You know, some niggas call me on the goddamn phone. They just be talking and talking and talking. I'm like, goddamn nigga, you're 6'2". You're 6'2", you got a good job. Where your fucking woman, man? Or where your women? Goddamn. You just pouring your heart out on the phone with me. I ain't built right for your ass. Oh, he just all sensual. I'm like, where's this nigga woman? But it's a whole culture of this shit. It ain't got, see, there's a new thing. There's the down low thing they talking about where they go and be with men. No, they got another motherfuckers. They don't want nothing to do with no man. They just don't like women. They can't be with, they can't be a woman other than to get the nut. See what I'm saying? Going out of a way, but anyway, I don't know where that came from. That's the way the spirit go now. I have to apologize. The last couple of years, this shit just been, you know, just been sporadic. Be another entity talking. But Marvin Gaye, in this thing, in this particular aspect, he was getting ready to go to another level with this thing, merging the sexual thing and the sexual energy. The sexual healing was the series of the new things he was going to be doing. And all, you see, after he got off of Motown. After he got off of Motown. So there's a caption on there where they was talking about all of this and how he was one of the inventors of the concept album with the social protests and how he was able to take the sexual energy to a whole nother level. So there's a reason why, and when I was in Baltimore, I was telling the people about this Marvin Gaye thing, and as soon as we got up on the billboard, it cut off. I said, damn, this motherfucker talking to us. And stuff. So it's a talisman. So I said, so what would happen? They said, well, look, that would bring a lot of certain energy because these are muses. And why do they kill the muse? Now, I've been talking about this for the last 7 years, about the music and all this. And I finally got the historical information on what makes it so that they kill all the muses. Why they kill Luther. Kill Luther ass.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? What fucker dies from a damn stroke? 2 years later. Come on, get the fuck up out of here. They got 70-year-old white men and 80-year-old white men have 2-3 strokes.
Right.
And ain't dead. Now, you know what I'm saying? And this man here goes in the hospital for a routine checkup and doing good, and all of a sudden he come up dead. You see, because the hospital are the Nazi death camps.
Right.
Like this Octavia Butler, black science fiction writer. So she fell in her yard and hit her head, and now she dead. See what I'm saying? They're killing our people. That's interesting. I'm going to go into some stuff in a few minutes on how this thing is going on. But I just want to put this out here on how this is a talisman, and those are muses. Spiritual muses, as far as you can get energy from them, because they had to be high up. Anytime a nigga can make a song and get a reaction out of you, years later, you see what I'm saying? Years later, that means that was a spiritual entity. So it's very powerful. Like, take for instance, like Jimi Hendrix. Like Jimi Hendrix. Well, it's interesting that you don't think this man is a god. Here's a new book called Gnostic Philosophy by Tobias Curtin. Gnostic Philosophy. And in it they talk about Gnosticism is the ancient Egyptian, later-day Coptic Egyptians, the later-day Egyptians that was during the time of Greece and Rome, and especially the time of Rome in Hemmitt, and they had a no whole philosophy, and it was their philosophy and their Jesus and all of this type of thing, which was stolen, which was just a later-day version of the Coptic Horus, which was stolen and plagiarized by the Romans. So the Gnostic philosophy is dealing with those ancient Egyptian teachings and what they thought about, but in the Gnosticism, there's a whole chapter here on Jimi Hendrix and his music. You see? So therefore, they even had a philosophy. And when he died, the building he died had a Shiva, which is the god Shiva, as you see here, the dancing Shiva, and a Buddha on the front and a Shiva on the side. You see what I'm saying? When he died. It's interesting. And it's not by mistake. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
It's not by mistake. If we would get a picture such as this, let me show you this picture. I'm supposed to separate these things, but you know how it is with black folks and stuff, you see what I'm saying? And all, you know, we just throw things in a bag and keep on going. You know, the black man used to divorce on his feet in a paper bag and get the hell trucking. I want to show you something. See if I can find this thing right quick while we talking. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
Okay, because like I said, we got time. I just want to see if I can find this one picture. I should have separated these while I was talking. But to show you, get you some Jimmy, and they left these things behind. And they left these things behind for a reason. Here's Jimi Hendrix as the form of the goddess Lakshmi, because he has on the sari, because he has 2 lotuses in his hand. Let's see, this way. This the right way. As well as the god Vishnu with the cobras and the 7 African powers of the 7 chakras, or the cobras that you see on the god Vishnu, which is the form of Horus. All of this type of stuff is not by mistake that these pictures were done. Let's see if I can focus this thing a little better. Before he made the transition. You see. And why do white people worship him as a god now? You see what I'm saying? Worship him as a god now. This is energies that we can tap into. And it's not by mistake. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
You see. Now, the other month, you know, I got thousands of albums, and I was going through, and McQueen picked up this Phyllis Hyman album and started playing it, And she played one side, and she played the second side. She was getting ready to take the last song off, and Phyllis Hyman came through and said, don't take it off, let it play. I said, oh shit, this motherfucker done came through. So I went in there and dug up about 4 more of her albums. We made her a day of this shit. So that night she came through, and she said, I thank you for playing the album. I needed to be remembered, and I needed the energy. You see, so we help those spirits, and they import stuff on us. So the sister who was giving the channel said, well, what about your label mate, what's the girl name that just had the stroke? Angela Bofield. Because they was on the same label of Arista. She said, well, I offered to help her. So I sent her some energy. I offered to take her to the other side, but she didn't want to go. So I'm like, well, goddamn, now you done got hooked up. You rolling like that and stuff. So I was like, well, you know, what you do? She said, well, I remove obstacles. I said, well, what spiritual system or what goddess or whatever you own? She said, I was the incarnation of the god Het-Heru. And as you know, Het-Heru is the goddess Hathor. In Hemmitt, where you get the temple of Dendera, that we have some temples of Dendera. So she said, I was the incarnation of the goddess Het-Heru. And I said, okay, so real powerful energy, you know, came through. So I'm saying, these muses are something that you can tap into at this particular time. If you can tap into particular music, you can heal yourself. You see, you can heal yourself. And these muses are very key. So I just want to do that. Y'all all right? Okay. Let's, speaking of which, because now we're talking about looking at a bigger picture. And when you're looking at a bigger picture of things, damn, I'm messing up my things. When you're looking at a bigger picture, we're not getting on the emotional level of what happened to our people on the particular realm that upset us so much. We're looking at a bigger picture on how everything down here is interconnected. Even the tragedies is connected to an ongoing process of us going to something on a greater level. You see what I'm saying? Now let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of what went on. And this surprised the hell out of me. When Coretta Scott King died, when she died, I said, okay, you know, civil rights all-star, whatever type thing. So then the channel came through, and Martin came through. So Martin said, yo, he said, I went and snatched her up out of the clinic in Mexico. You see what I'm saying? And I said, well, damn. And so the sister said, wait a minute, apparently she was higher than Martin in the spirit realm based on the goddess energy.